What is going on, guys? Gavin here. Today we played Speedroids at locals, had a ton of fun, went X1. This is the most pure version of Speedroids I think I've ever played, and I actually do like the pure version quite a bit, just because Speedroid Scratch is a much better card than I gave it credit for. You know, being able to discard your extra Speedroid cards just to trade them into Terratop just works incredibly well, and not a lot of people are playing Droll right now, so I haven't lost a Droll in like a month. So yeah, this deck is really solid, and you know, if you put the time into mastering Speedroids, it can definitely perform incredibly well, at least at the local level in my experience. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the profile. So we play one copy of Terratop. It really can't be understated how amazing this card is. You know, being able to get your play going without special or without normal summoning is just insane. And Terratop by itself is any synchro monster that you want it to be. Like, you can climb into any synchro monster with just this card, and that's so crazy. Then we play triple copies of Hound, or triple copies of Marble Machine, and then triple copies of Hound. So these are your normal summons, and these are both one card rubber band shooters. I do like Hound a little bit better because it is a little bit more flexible at the end of the day. Like with Marble Machine, you pretty much just have to add an extender, but with Hound, you can, you know, either send the trap card, or if your hand can allow for it, you can send Terratop or send Duke, and you can still combo off pretty hard. And also, Hound being able to hit the graveyard and give you follow-up when it's in the graveyard is really valuable in the deck. So yeah, the starters are both great, but I do think Hound is slightly better. Then we play one copy of Double Yo-Yo. I do like the Banish a level 7 play with the rubber band shooter, and even if we open this card, we play enough cards in this version of the deck that we probably will open a card that discards, so we can discard a Speedroid monster, and then when we normal summon this, we'll have a target for it, and we get 2 bodies for 1 normal summon, which is good enough to go into a rubber band shooter. Then we play triple copies of Takatomborg. So the best tuners in this deck don't special summon themselves, so Takatomborg takes care of that for you and allows you to pop off, and it's just a free special summon that substitutes out for any tuner, which is just insane. Also, its effect is not once per turn, so you can feel free to normal summon this card and then special summon another copy of this card later on and use both of their effects. Then we play triple copies of Car Turbo. We really want to have extenders in this deck, and Car Turbo is one of the better extenders that Speedroid has access to. I'm not a huge fan of rubber band playing just because you can't just special summon it, you have to special summon something else and then chain the rubber band plane to that. So I like Hound, or the Car Turbo quite a bit better, and the fact that when it's in the graveyard, you can push for a ton of damage with this card just is really amazing and helps you OTK so much easier. And then for the tuners that don't special summon themselves, 2 Duke, 1 Dice, 1 Piper. I think this ratio is fine. Some people like 2 Dice. I don't want to be drawing dice more than I already do. Most of the time you can get by if you draw one of these cards, but drawing two copies of any of these cards can really be bad if you're going first and you only have 5 cards and you're just playing with 3 cards. So it's not, like I said, it's not the end of the world to draw 1, but you don't want to play too many and end up drawing 2. Then we play Scratch. Scratch is really good because honestly discarding isn't even a huge neg in a lot of cases, because you can either discard extra copies of, you know, your once per turn Speedroid cards, so like you can discard your extra normal summons, extra copies of Scratch, extra copies of Wheel, and it's not a big deal. Or you can discard, you know, your Duke to get it into the graveyard, or discard your Duplicate to get it into the graveyard, and in both of those scenarios you're actually fine with that too, because those cards do like to be in the graveyard quite a bit. And just being able to start with Terratop, like I said, helps you play through disruptions so much better. So I do like Scratch quite a bit. And then we play triple copies of Wheel. Wheel is fantastic. If you resolve the first one with like a 3 or higher, it's really insane, especially like 4 or 5 or 6. Rolling a 6 with this card is absolutely nuts, but you know, it's really what it's here for, is to get you 2 bodies on the field, or at the very least 1 body on the field, but hopefully you get 2, and then you can go into rubber band shooter without eating up your normal summon, and hopefully setting up like a Duke into your graveyard as well. So it's really good. And then we play triple speed recovery. So like I said, we play a lot of discards in this deck, and being able to summon back the cards that we discard is really, really nice. And the fact that this card also gets you follow up on your next turn is just icing on the cake, man. This is a beautiful card right here. Then we play 2 copies of Duplicate. 2 is the absolute perfect number to play because, you know, if you go for the Hound play, you can send one and then potentially search one too. It's just a really nice extender in the graveyard, and also, you know, you can't underestimate the power of a bounce, because a bounce is a very powerful form of non-destruction removal. So card works actually really well if you chain it on a higher chain link when your opponent activates Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, so that you can, you know, get rid of the DPE because they're never summoning it twice. So this card also bounces Floodgates too, which is really awesome. And then we play 1 copy of Called by the Grave to defend against hand traps, and card is also a super nice card against decks like Eldritch and decks that just have really powerful graveyard effects. And then we play, for the hand traps, 2 Ash, 2 Ogre, and triple Imperm. So I don't want to play too many copies of cards that are once per turn. So Ash is once per turn and Ogre is once per turn. And both of them are really in here to beat the Brave engine at the end of the day. So yeah, that's why we don't play too many copies of each. Because also, you know, when we excavate off a Piper, we already have an Ash in hand. We'd rather see an Ogre, right? So if we're playing 3 Ash and 1 Ogre, or 3 Ogre and 1 Ash, like, chances are we'd see another copy of the card we already have. So that's kind of my mentality around that. But Imperm is not once per turn, so you can definitely play 3 of it. And then to round it off for the main deck, we are on triple copies of the Forbidden Droplet. Yes, this card's expensive, but I think it's worth it. Honestly, like, it's very difficult to go second without this card, so I would definitely recommend, if you can afford it, to get your hands on a playset of Droplets, because it does work very well with this deck. So that's it for the main deck. Let's go into the extra deck. Okay, to start, for the extra deck, we're on 2 copies of Rubber Band Shooter. The card is phenomenal because you can turn any 2 win monsters into this card. So sometimes you don't really draw the right cards to go for like synchro plays right off the bat, but if you can just get any 2 win monsters on the board, you can make this card and start going for some synchro plays after you resolve both of this card's effect, which is it's really good. And you play 2 because it is a hand trap magnet, and you want to have a chance of, you know, doing something on your follow-up turn if the first one gets disrupted. And then we play 1 copy of Auroradon. This card is both a really good backup plan, and sometimes it's a really good plan A too, because I find that if I'm playing against back row decks, right, and I don't really care about my double Crystal Wing play at all, if Crystal Wing isn't good in the matchup I'm playing, I'll prioritize going for this card, excavating 4 off of Piper, finding something that I can, you know, use against my back row opponent, and then making Baronne de Fleur on top of that, because Baronne de Fleur can negate trap cards. So Auroradon is really good, and even its effects going second, like going second is good to be able to pop something with this card, and also going first in certain hands, like if you discarded your Speedroid Duplicate, you can add it back with this card. So all of this card's effects are really insane. 2 copies of Cork Shooter. Card is the best card in the extra deck in my opinion, just because this card allows you to do the crazy synchro plays. This card is what facilitates Terratop being any synchro monster in your extra deck. So this card really helps you make whatever synchro monster you need, and is phenomenal. Then we play 1 copy of Hagoida. This card is really essential for grinding because you can bring it out every single turn from your graveyard, and this card facilitates the double Crystal Wing, and also facilitates an easy follow-up into the Kite Drake to nuke your opponent's field on your follow-up turn. So Hagoida is outstanding. And then 1 copy of Shinbara for OTKing our opponent. Really, this card pushes 6,200 damage by itself when it's boosted by Card Turbo, so it can easily just allow you to push for game if you have like this plus the Link monster on your field. So very good. And then 1 copy of Juju. This card allows you to clear boards as you're synchro climbing, and the non-destruction removal is really valuable, so Juju's great. 1 copy of Charge Warrior to draw mid-combo as you synchro climb. 1 copy of Wind Pegasus, so this is our banish target. It could be Clearwing Fast Dragon, But I like Wind Pegasus because when it hits the graveyard, you can put it back into the graveyard with Shen Shen in certain cases, and also this card pops back row if you do end up hard summoning it, so it's just a really flexible card. And then we play the double Crystal Wing against monster heavy decks. Double Crystal Wing is still quite good, and you know, if your opponent can't play through the double Crystal Wing, then you win the game on the next turn. One copy of Kite Drake. Kite Drake is phenomenal for coming back into the game, and it's phenomenal follow-up on your next turn once your board gets broken if you already have the Hagoida in the graveyard. So the card is 10 out of 10, great for going second and breaking boards. And then we play one copy of Shen Shen as a floodgate that also can recycle our resources and be an extender every single turn. So Shen Shen is great. And then the best card, or I keep saying that, the best card, but really the amazing boss monster that is the reason why you play Speedroids is Baronne de Fleur. This card is really insane, and hopefully it stays around a while, because so many decks are abusing this card that it might get banned someday. So hopefully we can, you know, be happy Speedroid players and abuse Baronne de Fleur for the next year or so, but who knows, it might get banned someday. But yeah, that's it for the extra deck. Let's go into the side deck. Okay, to go through the side deck real quick, we're playing triple copies of Judgment just because it says no to summons or spell trap cards, and that's just really powerful for helping ensure that your opponent doesn't have a way to come back into the game going second. So we can also dig for Judgment, which is just so powerful. Triple Lance for PK and Sword Soul. Really only side this card in going second, because going first it does conflict with the duplicate and also the Cosmic Cyclones that you potentially side in, so definitely would only side this going second. Then we play triple copies of Droll and Lockbird to shut out those Flunderees matchups, because Flunderees can be an incredibly annoying deck to play against. And then triple copies of Cosmic Cyclone to help beat Artifact Scythe. And then lastly, to round it off, playing more back row hate in Lightning Storm, Duster, and Red Reboot for those pesky Eldritch players. So yeah, that is going to be it for the deck, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, I really appreciate you. But with that, I am going to leave you with a peace out. Have a nice day, and goodbye.